3, 2, 1.
We are. Was it good? What?
HBO Max newest original show, Peacemaker. The first half of the season is out, and we're going to figure out, was it good? I'm Ravi.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Arjuna.
And we are, was it good?
Wow, we did it!
We did it! We did it! We did it! We did it!
Yeah!
All right, pod's over. Fuck it. Let's go home. Obviously, Christian's not here. We got the much better Michael joining us here today.
Oh, well, yeah, I'll take that.
I don't know where Krishna is. He has abandoned us.
Well, the real win is that I'm out of the producer's chair, and we get Lauren as our producer. Whoever that, yeah.
Yep. Nope. She's not responding and not saying anything. That's fine.
She just did a smile. She was like,
Yeah.
Guys, Peacemaker. It's a show about a character who played a pivotal role in a James Gunn movie called Suicide Squad.
oh, I thought you were going to say
hated him.
in early 2000s wrestling.
Well, nobody saw that.
That's the actor John Cena.
But maybe the actor blurs a line with character, and they are potentially one and the same.
You actually, real quick, you make a really good point about blurring the line between character and actor. Right off the bat, I'll say this about John Cena as an actor playing this character, Peacemaker. Just like Robert Downey Jr. was clearly born to play Iron Man, just like, Gal Gadot was basically born to play Wonder Woman. There are certain actors and actresses that come on this earth, and they are clearly meant to play this character.
Mark Hamill was born to play old man Luke Skywalker.
Brad Pitt was born to play Tyler Durden.
That's not a comic book character.
Oh, well, I thought you just...
We're just doing comic book characters right now.
Well, it is a book character.
But John Cena clearly was put on this earth to play Peacemaker.
At least this version, yes.
This version is perfect for him. He doesn't really have to act. He's just kind of being himself.
This is where John Cena shines in my mind, right? So, like, when they put Cena in roles where he can be, like, comedic and goofy, but still kind of show off some of his wrestling stuff and whatever, he's found his, The Rock type of role, right? The Rock plays the same character in all his movies. You don't necessarily go to see the movie with The Rock to see the movie. You go to see the character portrayal of The Rock. And this is like John Cena, right? You see the portrayal of John Cena. Like, I saw Fast 9 when that came out last year, which also had John Cena, and he tried to play the antagonist of the movie, and it just didn't work because it doesn't lean into his strengths of who he is.
Did you see the Transformers movie Bumblebee?
Yeah, I did see
So
Bumblebee.
John Cena was also like the antagonist in that one as well.
They gave him a little bit more comedic role in that movie.
But he's the antagonist of Suicide Squad, or the Suicide Squad.
No, I would say the antagonist of the Suicide Squad is everybody.
Being a loser.
Well, all right. Well, I saw him as the antagonist. I hated Peacemaker. I don't know why I was all that attached to Flag, but when he killed Flag, spoiler alert, sorry.
I had no idea.
Actually, the committee of spoilers has made it so that if a film or piece of content has been on this earth publicly available for 6+ months, you no longer have to say spoiler alert.
Also, or if the spoiler has been referred to in another medium or
it's been
show, because it was referred to
in the first 4 episodes of this show. You see the flashback twice.
So actually, then one would assume if you are listening to this pod because you have an interest in Peacemaker,
Rick Flag.
something's up.
Hopefully, you didn't come to this pod going, "What's this Peacemaker thing all about?"
Real quick, does anyone kind of laugh when you just see the different quality of like between the show and then when they go to the Suicide Squad?
Oh, I didn't notice.
Like you don't notice like difference in like the lighting and everything.
I mean, lighting
really good.
Lighting
looks really good.
Yeah,
but it just looks different, right? Like it has a different texture and feel to it versus like what you see in the show, which is just like it's funny. But I
guess I didn't notice
you always feel. I feel like you always feel that when you show like movie clips within a streaming service or something. It's always just.
I mean, it would have been a bigger deal back in the day when they were shooting on film and TV shows were still, on 16 or already digital. But because you for sure, or like when TV shows would go out on location or go camping, and you're like, exactly. Oh, this is a big difference. I haven't noticed it in the Peacemaker one, but I think if I went back and looked, I probably would. Yeah.
It's just different lighting.
I don't think it stands out too much because James Gunn obviously is an EP on Suicide Squad. He's also written a number, if not all the episodes, or co-written most of the episodes.
Directed.
He's also directed most of them, and then obviously he directed and wrote Suicide Squad. So he's heavily involved, obviously, in the visual look of it. And I would imagine that, if he agreed to do that, when he agreed to do this, I'm sure there was like, we need some kind of visual look and style to make sure it does match. But jumping like more into like this show, this is obviously Marvel. This is a
Marvel.
Yeah,
because it might be good. We don't know.
So this is is this DC or the DCEU's first?
This is the
serial
this is the first show within the
show.
DCEU continuity, right?
Ooh.
That is a live action show of some type. Because obviously you have the Arrowverse. Obviously you have the
animated.
What were the DC apps live action shows that now are on HBO Max, like Titans, Doom Patrol, those. But those are not within the official DCEU canon.
Right.
This is part of the DCEU canon. Now, what it means to be part of the DCEU canon is a question mark, right? Because we don't know what that means. There's obviously been a lot of rumors for like the Flash movie that's coming out later this year that will reset everything, and who knows what that canonizes or removes from the canon or whatnot. But like as of right now, this is essentially like the first answer to the Marvel Disney Plus shows, right? Where it's a continuation or an extension of that continuity.
And how do you feel it's going so far?
Honestly, that's probably the weakest part of it. That it like has. Well, I mean, it honestly hasn't been too much of a barrier besides like the direct connections to the Suicide Squad. It doesn't need to be a part of the DCEU, and it really doesn't matter. Now, there are some references to like Batman and other DC characters, but like, does it really matter if that's Batfleck Batman or whichever version? Not really, and it's not going to come into play, and like that's not the strength of the show either. Of like, oh, it's in the same universe where Batman versus Superman. Like,
I mean, it's funny.
No one cares.
It's funny though because there is a part where Peacemaker's racist father's neighbor. So the neighbor's I don't think is a racist, but he asked Peacemaker about being a superhero, and they talks about Batman and gets into this whole conversation about how Batman doesn't kill his enemies, and then Peacemaker says, yeah, he just locks them up in Arkham Asylum so they can escape and go and kill countless others. If anything, this is Peacemaker saying, if anything, he's like, I'm a better superhero because I kill my enemies so they can't harm anyone else.
Doesn't he call Batman a pussy?
Yes, he calls Batman a pussy. Yeah.
Which apparently in an interview they revealed that was like the biggest concern they got of all the violence and all the like nudity, the language and everything. The biggest note that they got from HBO and Warner Brothers was, I don't know if we should be calling Batman a pussy.
I watched this with my little brother. It got awkward at some points.
Right, just to clarify though, like when you say your little brother, like you make it sound like he's
my little brother,
10 years old or something.
Tiny little baby brother. And that's how he'll always remain in my mind. But yeah, no.
Doesn't he have a kid?
Yeah, he's more adult than I am, but he's my baby brother. But anyway, yeah. So there's a lot of that, like sex. And, and he and I were sitting there watching it, and it was that. Speaking of,
especially the first few episodes, it is like.
So the question is though.
Okay. Good morning.
Did come up. Is Peacemaker lying about the size of his penis, or is it actually that big? Because there's that scene in the bathroom with the butterfly, and I would imagine that you would see more movement of thrust if it were as large as he said.
I mean, it depends if she's like loose like a hot dog in a hallway, and just goes all the way in, then.
I want to take a minute here to just say that loose is not a term that should be used anymore. It never loosens, but from use or any of that such thing. That's a terrible sexist.
I would say going to the character and what we know of the character, he does like to lie, not necessarily lie, but he likes to over exaggerate,
bend the truth,
and bend the truth. So I would assume he is lying about.
Yeah, but then you see him in his underwear, and it's kind of coiled like a cobra and waiting to strike.
But would it also would it shock you if he like put padding down there to make himself?
No, not at all. And so that's sort of my biggest mystery of the show so far. I haven't seen the 4th episode yet, but maybe you guys know.
That's amazing that like of all the things that are happening in this show, for Michael, the biggest mystery is Peacemaker's
Peacemaker.
His actual Peacemaker's
peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
let's kind of get back on track here. One word impressions.
I think it's penis for Michael.
For Michael, what's your one word impression so far of the halfway through the series so far?
Fuck.
Interesting.
As in, that was just all that went through my mind when I watched the first 2 episodes was just like, fuck, this is good. Fuck, I love this. Oh, man.
Fuck, there's a lot of fucking.
Yeah, fuck. There's so much fucking and
violence and
violence and everything. I don't know. I feel like that's not the word I went here with, but that's the one that came out. And
I think that works.
Yeah.
Fuck. Junior, your one word impression?
Fun. I'll go fun for this.
Fun fuck so far.
Fun fuck. No, this show I think halfway through has really proven just to kind of be, not beholden to like certain rules and certain like, we're this serious show and have to do X, Y, and Z, right? And I think we can get that through a lot of different mediums and whatnot. And I think this show's just kind of having fun and having a good time and is a little bit unapologetic about it too. Just like, you don't like it? Well, tough. And like all the characters are likable and unlikable at the same time. There's no one that's like purely good and like, you're supposed to recognize them. They all have like really shitty traits.
Except for that guard.
And
which guard? The guard that gets shot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wife and the kid.
Bad place, bad time.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a tough one. Tough one for that guy. But yeah, it's just a fun time from the opening credits. The theme song is iconic. Just the dance and everything. It's a fun time, and even the show itself, even like the Suicide Squad, as fun of a movie that was, like this takes it to another degree. Right?
Do you, speaking about the theme song real quick, do you think from like a marketing standpoint, do you think Warner Brothers is going to put the energy, time, and money into making that theme song appear in some way during the Super Bowl?
No, I don't think they're smart enough to do that or like be that forward thinking. I mean, look, Warner Brothers, to me, maybe I'm being harsh here, has proven to me, at least with their DCEU property, their expanded universe, that they just really don't know what they're doing. That just feels like they come out with a project and then pivot immediately.
I would argue that this show is evidence that you're wrong.
Well, do you know how this show came about?
I think this is James Gunn, because James Gunn's the one that pitched it, and they're like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, you seem like you know what you're doing.
And this was pitched at the end, like towards the end of filming of Suicide Squad, and then because of that, production got adjusted a little bit so that they could go and film, some early stuff for this to get it out the door.
Right, but every comeback starts somewhere, and every turn has an apex. So I don't know. I mean, I think this could be. I think this is the sign that they have turned a corner.
Unless they give it all to James Gunn and be like, "Here, do the entire DCEU."
Please.
I would have more confidence with you there, but I don't know. The impression I get over there is James Gunn will do something, and he also has talked about like he wants to do other stuff. I think he even talked as he was doing press for this show that he actually wants to take a little bit of a break because it was like Suicide Squad this, then Guardians 3, and he's like been working pretty much nonstop for a couple of years now. So he's like, I think I want to take a break, and then when I come back, I'll do Peacemaker season 2. But it doesn't sound like he's like ready to run a
whole
film
thing,
company and like a whole universe.
And that's part of the problem is there's no single voice or group or whatever kind of running it.
Right.
And like the other thing too is like we just saw Josh Whedon's name was trending a couple of days ago with everything.
What?
He did an article, I think, or an interview with was it EW or Entertainment.
One of the
online entertainment sites, and basically was throwing everybody else under the bus about how poor the initial theatrical release of Justice League did in terms of money and just overall like quality. He blamed Gal Gadot for having.
He said she didn't understand English. There was a language barrier, and then he also said Ray Fisher is a bad actor in every sense, like in all senses. Like he's a bad person and he's a bad actor.
Recently said this.
Yeah, yes. It came out I think like end of last week.
Yeah,
like about a week ago, and I mean he's done. Like,
it's nice to see somebody embrace their like
villain story.
That's insane that he did that.
It's insane. Like Josh Whedon's an interesting one because like 2012 when Avengers came out, everyone was like,
guy.
He's the nerd god, bow to him. And now 10 years later, it's like stay the fuck away.
I think the worst thing he said was a lot of the allegations against him have come up of him like pressuring women into sex. His response was essentially like, I couldn't help myself. And
no way.
That was the worst part. And then he continued on with this other nonsense.
There's a thing like, dig your own grave.
He's
done that 5 times over.
Loader out. He rented something from Home Depot.
He got into a rocket ship and flew. He flew right into the sun.
Yeah.
I really want to get my beanie, so I'm going to do that.
You going to do what? He's just getting up and moving?
He's getting his beanie.
Oh, you could just ask for it off to the side.
I know, but this feels like action.
Action in the middle. So for my one more impression, I'm going to go with surprised. And main reason is when Arjuna initially was like, hey, we should do Peacemaker. I was like, no, Peacemaker looks boring. It's just going to be a big, giant sexual fart joke. And not that, nothing that interesting. And after I got through it was really the second episode where I was sold. After the second episode, I was like, okay, there is something interesting happening here. It is not just going to be sex, violence, and stupidity. There's something interesting happening. So I was very, very surprised. And as we saw at the end of episode 4, there's more surprises in terms of who's a butterfly and who's not.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
I'm guessing their leader's a butterfly.
Bingo.
Yes.
That shouldn't be too surprising.
No.
But it kind of makes sense.
Good old Mern.
Like I said, the biggest mystery is Peacemaker telling the truth
about his penis.
Yeah. But what's our sentence then? It's a fun surprised fuck.
Or fuck surprised fun.
Yeah.
Or fun fuck. Surprised fun fuck.
Surprise fun fuck. In terms of, what the fuck is actually happening in this show, like diving in a little bit deeper in terms of characters, we actually get I was also back onto my whole surprise, seeing Amanda Waller. Granted, it was on a computer screen via FaceTime call. Definitely surprised that she actually showed her face.
Do you think she did
That was filmed during Suicide Squad.
Or do you think she did the scene like from our home and they just did like a little quick green screen and they're like, yeah, just, we'll send you a camera.
No, I believe that is 100% that was shot during either reshoots or whatever of Suicide Squad.
That would make a lot of sense with the set, especially.
Because you never ever go out. I don't think you actually go full screen on that ever. You just do an over the shoulder of another big surprise. Her daughter, who is one of the agents, which is Adebayo, who's also married, and for some reason thought bringing her wife and dogs on a Black Ops mission was a good idea.
The first half of the show has completely ignored her.
Yes, that's annoying, but
it's an interesting perspective. Like she seems like she's very sweet and undedicated to this line of work, yet every turn of the way she's choosing the work over her spouse.
Right.
And so maybe her spouse has a valid
point. And she's consistently told about like how bad of a person Amanda Waller is, who's her mom, and clearly she is unaware of like how brutal she is
and like trusts her, because the way she like gets off, she's like, you don't think she's it's like, exactly. No, I'm pretty sure she'd blow your head off if she wanted to, if needed to.
I mean, all for the safety of Americans. America.
Yeah. Yep. I was just going to say, you've got the opening theme song written there, and I know we talked about it already, but that is when I was sold.
When you heard the theme song?
When I turned it on and they played the theme song, I was like, that's when I texted. I was like, this is great. I love it.
The opening theme is fantastic. I want us to learn how to do the dance, and
So HBO Max actually dropped, at least on their social channels, a bunch of behind the scenes of how it took them a couple of days.
Yeah, of course.
And they actually did full on rehearsal to learn the dance and really get into it.
Gunn said Cena was not super psyched about having to dance, but he put in the work. So
yeah, he did.
And he does a really great job.
And now I after the 4th episode, I understand why they all have the serious face, because they're all being butterflies. That's why they're all have no emotion.
I don't know.
Wait, butterflies don't show emotion?
So the whole thing about butterflies is when they're no one's watching them.
They have no emotion.
They have no emotion. But that's when they show so spoiler alert, Michael, and for those who haven't caught up to the final episode or the 4th episode, Mern, who's their leader, is shown completely emotionless watching
and then
TV,
sucking,
and then he, you see the tongue come out, and you're like, oh, he's a butterfly, and he has no emotion because no one's around him, right?
Really thought it was a sociopath.
The reason that none of them have any emotion on their faces is because they're mimicking butterflies.
Human emotion, yeah.
They're butterflies and
gotcha.
Or it's that they're doing ridiculous things in the show and taking it completely seriously.
Right, which is the whole idea of the butterfly. That's why the butterfly.
Sure, that too, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's all connected. It's all synergy.
So what's interesting about the butterflies is there's no reference to them from any DC comic arcs or anything. Mm-hmm. It's original to this show, which is awesome. We don't usually get that when it comes to comic book content recreated or whatever. There's usually some kind of source material where it's either changed or adjusted. So I'm curious to see what these butterflies are going to actually be. Based on what we're kind of seeing, do you think they're good, they're bad?
I kind of had the impression that they were going to turn out to be good and that they were being led astray until the 3rd episode. And then I was like, they're probably still bad. And then I haven't seen the 4th episode, so I don't know.
Based off of the 4th episode, where we know Mern is a butterfly, and we know he was actively trying to kill butterflies, I almost think there's a faction between these two
butterfly civil war.
Yeah, something
between the monarchs and the
right. Because also in episode 4, Judo Master explains that he's like, the butterflies aren't what you think. And then Adebayo shoots him, right? And then he's like,
he's still alive?
He is still alive,
or
as
not
of
anymore,
right now.
Maybe not.
They're like, he's probably going to die, but he's not officially dead.
He's in the credits pretty prominently. I think he comes out of the show as his new sidekick.
Right. So was the janitor from the 1st episode, and he hasn't been in it.
Yeah, he hasn't shown back, so... And then also the 2 cops as well from episode 1 and 2. They haven't shown back.
It could be argued that everybody's in the opening credits.
Yeah, I think it just might be anybody.
Because there's a cop behind those 2 cops that I don't recognize or haven't seen.
So he was the cop in the 2nd episode prominently when they're searching through the apartment building. And he's with the 2 detectives.
Oh, okay.
That's who he is.
Yeah.
So I think they may show up again, but small part or whatever.
Right.
I don't think they're main... they're not part of the Black Ops group essentially.
Right. And at the end of 3, you see all of those boop, 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 possible butterflies. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone's a butterfly.
Is it like John Wick?
Is that James Gunn just saying that we're all snowflakes? Is that what he's trying to say?
Ew. I don't know.
I don't think it is.
I feel like I've gotten the opposite from him on this show. He's been contrary to a lot of his maybe other stuff. And maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel like with Peacemaker, he's kind of almost done a 180 with his humor in that he seems to be making at least a clearer satirization of that macho and what's the other word I'm looking for? Perspective, the more toxic. I don't know.
Toxic masculinity.
Masculinity. To the max. Toxic to the max.
But you're saying Mern's done that?
Well, Gunn, yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of Gunn stuff, previous stuff that's not Guardians of the Galaxy has been what am I thinking of? The one where everybody's in the office and they have to murder each other.
I've never seen that one.
I didn't see that one either.
Oh, yeah. It was good. It was fine. Not his best work, but I feel like a lot of his old stuff could be co-opted by certain groups that maybe are a little more.
Well, look at his Twitter feed from the past.
Right.
I mean, that's been done many times.
This seems to almost mock the people that would have previously tried to co-op his stuff in a way that I haven't seen him do it before, and I think maybe he's tried to do it, but this might be a more because honestly, this may be Gunn's best work. I can't talk about.
I think
this.
I think he's talked about how he recognizes not necessarily like himself in Peacemaker, but like has talked about how it was the right project for him to do like Suicide Squad and Peacemaker after everything that had kind of come out, and maybe that is part of his like his response to everything that kind of went down over the last few years with like all of his social media and stuff coming up and being quote unquote canceled. You know, and part of our cancel culture and whatnot, having this very un-PC cancelable type of character in Peacemaker, who is, you know, he's charming. He seems and like even Adebayo says it right. Oh, he's a good guy, but like he says racist and sexist things constantly.
Yep. But look at his dad.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, like I hated him coming out of the movie, but as soon as I met his dad, I was like, well, I can't hate Peacemaker anymore. This poor kid is like, you don't come out of that situation.
Well, it's also revealed in episode 4 during a flashback.
This is the darkest part of
his
the show.
dad like forced him to like kill people,
kill a person.
Oh, I don't. I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I mean Robert Patrick, awesome. Maybe even scarier character than
Terminator
too. I mean, and hilarious at the same time. But
it's gotta be hard as an actor to play like a racist.
Yeah.
I mean, I would wonder, like, as an actor, especially in this day and age, going back to like cancel culture, even if you are playing the role in a work of fiction,
sure,
right? I wonder if like,
I mean, all you have to do is go back to Game of Thrones, the actor who played Joffrey, which literally forced into retirement because people would harass him because a lot of people can't distinguish between the actor and the role that they play, right?
Yeah,
and so like Robert Patrick. Like, there are probably people going to be like, you're a racist. I saw you in Peacemaker. You racist.
I mean,
it's like,
you know what would be the most horrific thing, though, is the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Like where it's like you have the white supremacists that are real in this world that look at like who he's playing, which is White Dragon, and that becomes like a symbol for them.
Right.
That, you know, and then it gets deeper where it's like, well, maybe James Gunn and Warner Brothers shouldn't have put that on television, and then it's a whole thing of like chicken and the egg and and all that stuff.
I think you got to put it up there. But I'm not a racist, but I have played one at a table read before.
Oof. Was it awkward?
Was it uncomfortable?
No.
That's not what you want to hear.
No. Well, no, because it was the character, and it really felt like, I'll say, like, it feels, you know, like you kind of just have to do it. You just kind of have to say these are the words that are written down. I don't, you know, like, and if I don't go for it, if I don't make it authentic, then I'm doing a disservice to the writer who needs that person to be that thing. And in this situation, obviously I wasn't doing it because it was fun, you know, it was fun. The table read was fun, but you know, it was, you know, it wasn't, I don't know how to put it, but yeah.
No, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. I think for a lot of actors, like for the personal experience, right? It's separating yourself from what the character is.
And you really have to, because you can let the character slip right in. I've had situations where, you know, I've had crushes on people that I'm acting across, and I have never felt that way about them before, but that's the character or whatever, and then it goes away when you're done. And so yeah, you really do. And poor people who can't, because dang, messed up.
It's tough.
You get messed up.
You can always tell in the interviews when they say either the character's name or they say me, if they've separated.
If they've separated between the two, that makes sense.
Because some people are like, you see some interviews and they're like, yeah, you know, what I do in this, you know, show, and the verse it's like, oh, what. Like, I'll take Boba Fett for like what Boba Fett does in this, or what I do. You know, you can really tell, even if it's a small indicator, like Michael said, if they've been able to make that separation or not.
Right.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if I've said it here before, but I you know, a saying that I've heard from somebody who was very wise once was, the safest place to be is in character. because that's them. So I think that's where you would get. And I think that applies to a lot of things in life. If you're nervous about something, just put yourself in somebody else's shoes and be them, and it's not your fault.
You're right, Krishna.
That's not Krishna.
Wow.
But
Acting. Could be. Before we get into speculation lane, last couple things here. Obviously, we have two characters that also showed up in Suicide Squad, and that is
Harcourt and Economist.
And how do we feel about them? So, actually, by the way, did you know the actress that plays
Harcourt?
Yeah,
is James Gunn's girlfriend.
Partner.
Well, actually, we got Vigilante in the Suicide Squad too.
No.
Yep.
Did?
Yep. The actor is in the movie and credited for the same character.
No, he's not.
Yep.
Vigilante.
Well, Adrian
Chase.
Is he actually in Suicide Squad?
Is that when they're going through?
I don't know
recruits?
for sure. I don't know for sure. Yeah.
He's where did you see this?
On IMDb.
IMDb.
Have you guys heard of IMDb.com?
IMDb.com?
IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, sponsoring Was It Good?
Could you imagine? That would be a pretty big one. I'm
Please
just checking it real quick on IMDb.
Yeah, no. Because
I don't believe you.
At Arjuna, isn't it true that here at Was It Good, we make sure and give you the facts?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it on IMDb.
Yeah, we're factual.
Oh, man.
We're a soft fact.
No, I do see it. Yeah, what the heck?
Okay, thank goodness I'm not a liar.
I do want to find
I
that.
am, but
well, I
not
mean,
for
for our
Well, it
listeners,
says uncredited.
Well, it's in there.
for our
Interesting.
listeners and watchers, if they can find a still
scene,
image or a scene of Adrian appearing in the Suicide Squad, please send it to us at.
Yeah.
You can tweet it at us at Was It Good, or you can Instagram it to us at Was It Good Pod.
Yep. Or you can comment right now in the comments
true.
on this video as you're watching live.
Yes.
Anything, stuff you want us to Google, we'll Google it.
Getting into speculation lane here. So we already kind of touched upon butterflies a little bit. Let's jump a little bit more into Peacemaker in terms of being good, bad, or maybe in between. Everything that we're seeing right now, it's kind of we've already seen it from Suicide Squad, right? His whole thing was, kill the bad guys in order to protect America. It's very Amanda Waller-esque,
Right.
but also like to the extreme.
Right.
But you could also argue that there's a little delusion in that in terms of how he goes about kind of like executing that.
He's very American.
I mean, he's basically American to the
Red, white, and
extreme.
blue.
Yeah. Well, and yellow. He has yellow in his costume. And gray pants.
Yeah.
And a silver
Beige.
dome.
And a silver dome piece.
Silver Dome.
But
I like that he steals all the helmets in episode 4, by the way.
I mean, he hates his father.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. Spoiler alert. No, I'm kidding. I don't care. This one gives you scabies. Sorry, did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't remember where that was.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But Peacemaker, is there any kind of redemption you think for Peacemaker? Or if we are given redemption, are we just kind of lying to ourselves that it's actual? Like, are we faking it and trying to pretend that it's redemption?
I think this whole show's about his redemption.
For killing Flagstaff?
Flagstaff? Rick Flag?
Nope.
Flagstaff. That's great.
I mean, in a way, Flagstaff did get killed.
But I don't think it's necessarily like a redemption on that specific action, but I think it's like a redemption on his character as a whole, right? Because I think Michael said it pretty well. It's like most people probably when they watch the Suicide Squad are like, "Oh, I hate this guy," right? He's pretty much a straight up like bad guy, right?
Yeah.
He's a dick. He kills. One of the movies like a fan favorite of the characters.
Dick.
He does stuff that inhibits all of your main characters. This show is trying to dive deeper and explaining why. Introducing his dad, showing some of his past and what he's doing, and I think through this mission of the butterflies and interacting with this group, they're trying to redeem him in some way. Now, I don't think he's ever going to be like a hero, but he views himself as a hero, and I think he will be in a potential better place or on the path to being better, right? To being a potentially better person and a better superhero.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, but I take it a little bit further, maybe, if that's all right. Like, I think it is, and maybe I didn't fully grasp what you were saying, and if I'm repeating you, just let me know. But yeah, I think he will end up redeemed at the end of this and a hero. And I think whether or not we believe that's possible, I do believe that's Gunn's goal. The more I think about it,
right?
Or originally I thought that is exactly what he wanted to do. Where it was, let's take this guy who's a bad guy, maybe even planned it from the beginning with Suicide Squad and what he did, and he doesn't view killing Flag as a bad thing.
But now he clearly does.
Well, no, I don't think he even still does. And the question is, was it a bad thing? I mean, it was, but
I think it depends on whose side, right? Like, to Amanda Waller's point, like if that information got out, which is that Americans were America was involved with experimentation with aliens and all this horrific stuff, you would lose whatever control the government has on people.
Right.
It would not work. Like, it goes back to, honestly, like the whole main thing in Watchmen, right, with Rorschach and Mr.
Dr.
Blue Balls.
Mr. Blue Balls.
Dr. Manhattan, where it's like, in order to keep control so that the people don't kind of step outside their comfort zone, and kind of keep things less chaotic.
I also think it goes even back to your point of, like, you started this pod by being like, my biggest question is if Peacemaker's dick is that big, right?
Yeah.
And I think that goes into the mental state of Peacemaker. He, even if it's not true, he 100% believes it.
Right.
And I think that is part of what they're doing about the character. And even like some of the subtleties of like John Cena, because when they show that scene, right, you see
that Cena.
When they show that Cena, you see his face, right? Even when he stabs Rick, there's a look of regret in his face of like, I didn't want to do this. When he goes to kill the butterflies, he doesn't want to shoot the kids and the wife, even though he says, I'll kill anyone. I'll kill women, children, and everything. That doesn't mean he likes it.
Or that he actually would.
Right, exactly.
He's prone to saying things and doing things that he wouldn't. But no, I think
that's
it
part
goes,
of his redemption.
It is that Peacemaker is literally, well, not literally, but I was going to say literally a metaphor, but he is America in this situation. He is the slightly racist, brought up by a piece of shit dad who taught him all the wrong things and is totally sincere in his beliefs, but completely misguided. So we have, all of that going on. And this is his blueprint for how do you bring America back to a more civilized, less racist piece of crap. We're good at heart, but we got a lot of crap going on from our forefathers who taught us incorrectly. And it's kind of like a little bit of both, America / people in America. It's second chances. Peacemaker.
So going actually to his dad, who is White Dragon, he's in jail currently, potentially going to rat them out. Do you think, I wonder if like the ultimate redemption piece for Peacemaker is going to be removing his father? Because at the end of the day, his father is a bad person. Clearly, he is clearly, there are inmates and individuals in the system, at least, that know who he is. So he probably does still like deal and does bad things. We know he's technologically advanced, at least with quantum mechanics and like hiding all this like armor and weaponry and shit.
Yeah, what is that? Did we get an answer in for it?
It may not be that he removes his dad this season. Could be that his dad is the big villain season 2 or season 3 or whatever.
James Gunn has actively talked about wanting to do more seasons, which actually worries me a little bit. We won't get like a conclusion to this season. It'll be like a cliffhanger, which I hope not. But
that's why I say wrap up the butterflies this season, and then maybe season 2 is more on his dad and all of that.
Well, if I know Gunn, and we do.
You know him?
Well, no, but it's definitely going to be his dad.
Daddy issues.
Gunn loves dad. Look at,
everything he's
Quill
ever done.
And I'm Mary Poppins, and he's good at it. He's great at it. But at least I feel
does James Gunn have legitimate issues with his father?
His father passed away recently, a year or 2 ago, and he actually has talked about like him and his dad were like really close.
Gotcha.
But that was just a material that I think he just comes back to over and over again because he's really good at telling stories about it, right? Like that's a whole driving point in the Guardians movies. That's a huge subplot in the Suicide Squad with both Idris Elba's character Deadshot and you know, with obviously with Peacemaker as well, because they're clones of each other, which still that's still one of my favorite parts of that movie, when they like run through the run through each of them and they say the exact same thing, and Elba's like, you just said the you just said the same thing.
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting, I think, with White Dragon. And again, I think potentially if there is a season 2, I think it would be kind of nice to maybe see what's there. But I'm also fearful though that having that villain, that character, is going to influence a certain group of people in this world. That part I don't want
I do think Gunn has done a good job of not glamorizing that group at all. Like really making them full-on pieces of shit that are irredeemable and suck.
And if you can't show those people, I mean, how do you have bad guys if you can't have bad guys?
It's a good question, honestly. Like that's a difficult one, especially with that subject matter, because it's a real life active thing.
Which I would say probably makes it even all the more important that you put him in as bad guys.
And honestly, to your theory of like him potentially being the villain later down the road, it would make a lot of sense. Like Robert Patrick is a pretty notable name and like actor, and if they killed him off this season, it would feel like, oh, that, you know, they didn't do a lot with.
Right. They could. Yeah, exactly. And I think it goes again to the larger redemption piece of Peacemaker.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you, let's say you wrap up the butterflies, you get rid of his dad all in the first season, it's kind of like, cool.
Yeah, there's not a lot.
Great. Now we're done with this character.
And Vigilante even calls him out. He's like, you kill bad people, right? So he's like, why haven't you killed your dad?
Yeah. That's the whole thing with the 4th episode, right? What's her name?
Hardinger?
Adebayo
sets basically Vigilante to go break into prison or get himself caught in prison and try and kill his father, essentially.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of Vigilante, is Vigilante and Peacemaker, are they friends? They lovers? What the fuck's going? Well, actually, better. In Vigilante's mind, are they friends or lovers?
Lovers.
Friends. There's no... Whoa, no, I'm going to take that back. Never mind. I was going to say, it doesn't seem like Vigilante's character to be lovers with Peacemaker, because he doesn't seem like a good person. So, you know, it seems he would have a prejudice, but then they have that scene where they both smoked weed and had sex with that. I'm sure their dicks touched at one point.
Well, I mean, there's nothing to say
that doesn't make
it doesn't mean they had sex with her. They could have just been smoking.
Well, I think there's a true love between them, though.
No, Peacemaker does not care one iota about Vigilante.
I think you'll see a little more in 4 where you're like, maybe he does care a little.
See, I disagree, though, even after seeing 4, because everything with the butterfly and chopping off what's-his-face's toe, when Vigilante was like, how could you do this to me? It kind of went over Peacemaker's head, like, whatever.
Was so like, the butterfly thinks that torturing this other guy is going to hurt Peacemaker. Peacemaker's like, this is that D&D nerd I used to make fun of that I don't even care. He didn't even know who Vigilante was.
But I think part of his redemption is he's starting to like form caring relationships with some of these people, right? Like he obviously cares about, you know, in his own way.
Peacemaker
cares about,
I thought you said Vigilante.
Adebayo, for example, right? Like that he trusts her. He tries to, you know, sleep with Harcourt, but I think there's also like
that's because he has needs.
And he doesn't
he said that
better.
flat out. He said that flat. I have needs.
And
that
like
was
anybody in his situation, it's exposure to these different perspectives and viewpoints that will make him a better person.
Right. And so like, I think Vigilante is one of those people he will end up like caring about. And I think the way that it's positioned, that they will be like best friends by the end. And maybe
I think it's gonna be him and the what's the green villain?
Judo Master?
I think him and Judo Master gonna become best friends.
I think Vigilante is going to end up being one of the villains of the show in the end.
Ooh, is that a bold prediction for you?
Well, interesting. I guess I'll throw it up there because I actually do think that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think Vigilante will turn and become a villain?
I don't think he has to turn. I think he just has to choose to.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, I just saw the 3rd episode. You know, he's singing along while killing these people, these kids. You know, and like. Even Harcourt or whatever her name is kind of like when he shoots the girl, kind of makes a face, but he's like, he's clearly psychotic. There's no redemption for him.
Oh, just wait till you watch episode 4, specifically when he enters the jail. It's probably one of my my favorite parts of the show so far because of how like clearly he is. He puts himself in this insanely dangerous situation.
And he's a perfect representation of these, like, what do they call them? The Yal-Qaedas, you know, like people, you know, the relationship is you got Peacemakers America, Vigilantes, all these like homegrown militia people, and they're in love with America and the idea of America, but America doesn't know or care about them that much. But they're a bunch of idiots running around being murderers or whatever, or thinking they are. They're vigilantes, and they're really just bad guys in disguise.
Dang, that was deep.
Wow,
that was pretty good actually. Wow,
it's pretty good.
You just solved the whole show.
I guess
don't need to finish
we don't
it.
Need to talk about it anymore.
Yep.
That's it.
June, do you have a bold prediction for what's to come?
My bold prediction is that there is another butterfly on Team Peacemaker.
Actually, wait, hold on a second. Quick disclaimer here. Arjuna, not explaining how, has potentially seen more.
I haven't watched it.
Okay, you sure? Because that would be cheating. On the fake internet points.
I have not watched anymore. But my bold prediction is there is another butterfly on
the team,
and it is economics.
Oh, I was gonna say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't feel very bold. I'm gonna call you out.
But neither would Vigilante being a villain.
Ooh, he's calling you out.
When Vigilante is legitimately an anti-hero and villain in a lot of the source material.
Yeah, did you see him in Arrowverse?
Yeah, in Arrow, he's a straight-up villain for an entire season.
Wasn't he a lawyer too?
No, it's the same character.
Lehrman, two. That's rude, Lehrman. You can't say that.
Sorry.
2 people that have brown hair and a distinct jawline do not look the same.
No. What? No. Vigilante. I didn't know if they got the same guy for Vigilante. I mean, yeah, no. All right. I don't know. You guys were saying Vigilante was going to team up with.
Oh, I still believe that.
Peace. Well, then my prediction is bold to you because it's opposite of you.
I'm going to go one step further.
Yeah, do it.
In terms of bold predictions.
Do it.
And I know it won't happen, but I want to throw it out there anyway. Superman shows the fuck up.
Fuck yeah.
Played by?
No, absolutely.
Played by headless anybody. So basically, you see Superman from the shoulders or the chest down, and you don't, and it works.
Go more bold.
It works.
Go more bold.
I can't go more bold.
Go more bold. Do it. Who is it?
I mean, I would love it to be Henry Cavill.
It's Cavill. Do it.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Put it in there.
No,
it's Cavill.
It's not
it will
Cavill.
be Cavill. I'm going to add on there. You can just add me. I'm going to add to that. Not take it. Just take it. I'll add it's Cavill. I think it's Cavill.
But I think it would be really cool for like a Superman, or an Aquaman, or a Batman, like what, or Wonder Woman.
I think Batman would make them. Batman would make a lot of sense, especially because of like all the Batman references. Yeah, it'd be funny if like it's an after credit scene and Batman just shows up and punches him in the face.
But every episode has an after credit scene.
Yep, so far.
I didn't see the last one. I didn't stick around, unfortunately. But the after credit scenes are usually just kind of a joke typey thing.
Yeah, this last one, the last one I saw looked like it was almost more of an extended scene type of situation. Yeah. Although I felt like there was even the one, they have sort of just been, but that's how they'll get us.
Basically, yeah. I mean,
one of them towards the end is going to reveal something that we're going to
Superman is a butterfly.
I feel like I bring up Superman because I go back to like Shazam, right? Shazam, after one of the after credit scenes was Superman showing up to lunch, and I feel like something similar may happen.
Well, and James Gunn was very fascinated with Superman, was asked to do Superman before doing Suicide Squad, and a lot of the interviews during the junkets for Suicide Squad revolved around his ideas for Superman. So there's a lot of suspicion that he has a Superman in the works, or possibly will be able to sneak him in here.
Or he is Superman.
James Gunn.
No, have you seen James Gunn?
It's very.
No offense to Gunn, he's a very handsome man, but he is not Superman.
He hasn't seen the Yellow Sun.
Also, what's to say though that Superman has to be like buff? Like, why couldn't it just be some fat guy?
I mean, that's a good point. Like, he's not getting his strength from lifting. And
Superman?
He gets it from the Yellow Sun.
Yeah, so is it muscle that makes him strong, or is it yellow synergy? I mean, like, what is it that makes him strong?
It's synergy.
Yeah, so his muscles are probably just an accident.
It's the difference of gravity on this planet.
Kids, it is towards the end of the pod here, so we got to ask that question. And we're going to do a little bit different here. Usually we ask, just straight up, was it good? Because we've only got the first half of Peacemaker to kind of go off of. So we're going to kind of frame it more as, Michael, what you have seen of Peacemaker thus far, was it good?
Oh, you asked?
I'm legitimately asking you.
Yeah. Yes, Ravi. The Peacemaker episodes 1 through... No. Oh, sorry, I'm on a track. No, it was not good.
Whoa.
It was fucking awesome.
Oh,
Maybe the
okay.
best thing of 2022. I'm calling it already. No,
I mean, we're only 10 days.
What
day are we? What day is it?
We're 21
days.
days. We're
in?
3 weeks
no,
in.
it's fucking rad. I have loved every minute of it, and I think it might be Gunn's finest work as far as like everything just feels so on point and not on the nose, but on point. And I am having absolutely the best time watching it. If you haven't watched it, please watch it. Do go watch it. It's awesome.
Awesome.
And important. I think it has a good message to send about second chances and not accepting what your parents tell you all the time or what YouTube or Facebook tells you all the time. They do bring it up in the show.
On YouTube.
It's true. The show is on YouTube.
This show is on YouTube, but we are not changing.
We're not
world.
spreading false information that we're aware
Are we
of.
though?
No, we're not.
What if we are?
No, we send accurate information, and this is good. Okay, so I got to ask somebody now.
Well, you have to ask Arjuna.
Oh, Arjuna, you've watched a little bit of this Peacemaker show. Not all of it, but some. So far, how do you feel about it? You like it? Is it good?
I would say yes. It is. It is good. It's a fun time. It's a show that you can kind of relax, have a good laugh, have a good cringe at times when the racists come on. And it has good action, like it's I wouldn't say it reminds me of like back in the day when like Hercules and Xena and Stargate SG-1 would come on. 'Cause it's a little bit more of a better it's better storytelling than those.
Whoa. Stargate has perfect storytelling.
It's better, but just in terms of like it's just a nice it goes back to that era of like TV where you could put it on and it's at the end of a long day. You can kind of relax to it. You don't necessarily have to like fully lock in. This isn't like a Mandalorian show where you gotta like watch frame by frame and like what does that grain of sand mean? I mean, I guess not everybody does that, but when I watch Mandalorian,
how stressed are you during Mandalorian?
I'm not stressed, but like I just feel like there are certain shows you gotta lock in and pay more attention to, and this is one that you can kind of just like vibe and relax and have fun with. So I do like it for that reason, and it's honestly like probably one of the best things the DCEU has churned out, just because I think it's more accessible than a lot of the movies that have come out, right? And just better, in a lot of ways. Like the bar is not super high, obviously, because a lot of these movies have not been super great. But it's nice for the good old DCEU to get a win. Ravi, thank you for your time.
I was gonna say, like, do you even need me to give an answer at that point? That's been 3 minutes.
I want to know.
Has it been 3 minutes?
It was 3. That was a 3-minute yes.
That wasn't a 3-minute yes.
I timed it.
I didn't even give a 3-minute yes.
It wasn't a 3-minute yes, Michael.
It was like a 2-minute.
It felt like forever.
Bullies. Ravi, how do you feel about this first half of Peacemaker?
Yes.
Oh, okay, well there you go.
No, very similar points. Like, I was surprised, and I'm not usually surprised by content anymore.
Your one-word impression.
Exactly. Synergy.
Awesome.
Tie it all the way back. It was one of those things where you look at the initial trailer and you're just like, cool, hyper violence again, right? That's how Suicide Squad, the James Gunn Suicide Squad, that's how that was portrayed as well. And that also was a nice big surprise where it was like, this is actually a legitimately interesting and somewhat, amazing story. And that is what you're getting with Peacemaker. Hopefully the show will stick the landing with the last 4 episodes, tie it up nicely. Don't, like Arjuna said, I also do not want a cliffhanger. That would be
season 2,
fucking terrible.
I don't think we'll get a cliffhanger.
I don't either. I think it's going to tie it up nicely, and then we can kind of leave it and
I bet it'll wrap up. There'll be obviously a dangling mystery for
something,
or maybe. I mean, Gunn is talented enough to close this and then surprise us with a totally new, like he just did with this movie.
I do find it. One thing we didn't really kind of dive into is what was interesting with this show and it being DCEU's first time in the streaming weekly episodic shows thing or whatever. When they released out the pressers to press, they only gave them the first 7 episodes. Episode 8 has not been viewed by any press that I'm aware of right now, which I think is interesting. To kind of just jump into bold, crazy ass predictions.
The Superman thing. They want
potentially the Superman thing, but I also wonder though is it also kind of setting up some other things with the other films that are coming out later, because that I think is going to be super important in terms of does the DCEU survive as something that people care about as a connected thing.
I honestly don't want it to have to be beholden to setting up some other movie. To be fair, I think this works, even though it is part of the DCU. This works because it's not beholden to all of the previous whatever. It's really only beholden to the movie it came out of, which also wasn't truly beholden to the rest of the DCEU. Yeah. So I don't think I don't think this needs to set up the Flash or anything like that. The only movie that would make sense to me would be the Suicide Squad 2. Maybe
it's gonna be Matt Reeves' Batman watch.
Maybe which is a part of the DCU.
I know.
Oh my god. No, but maybe maybe Idris Elba's character shows up or something or there's some type of
he's busy shooting Bond.
There's some type of he's not Bond officially
yet.
Wait, is it really close though? Because
supposedly, but we'll see.
I mean, I know that people have been wanting.
He's been rumored for 15 years, so we'll find out.
It doesn't have to be beholden to be able to set something up. It can still set something up. Would it ruin it for you if it set it up?
No, it wouldn't ruin it for me. But I don't think I don't need that from the show personally.
I mean,
it wouldn't do. I don't think it would do much for me. I think I would just be oh, whatever.
But you've seen the show so far. You like it. It's good. I would expect something that is as good as this is to land that job perfectly and in a way that is way more exciting than even what I mean.
But I just don't. Part of the thing about the Suicide Squad and even Peacemaker is it really doesn't fit into the tone of the rest of the DCU, which is why it feels so separated and why it doesn't necessarily call back to all of those previous movies. And that's not a good or a bad thing. I prefer this tone versus some of those other movies. Batman v Superman is so dark and brooding, and you're just ugh. And it doesn't obviously fit that. So it would you're right. Maybe they would nail it, but I would just be concerned if would that affect the tone of this show if they tried to kind of shoehorn something that isn't like that? The Flash to me, the Flash movie, I keep bringing that one up, but I'll use that as an example again. That tone doesn't fit this to me.
Right.
And so it would be weird if it somehow connected to that, because then it would either change the tone of the show or it wouldn't, they're completely changing the tone of whatever the Flash movie is.
All I hear you saying is telling James Gunn, and James Gunn, if you're listening, Arjuna doesn't think you're talented enough to be able to do that well.
And with that, we're going to call it here on the Was It Good podcast.
Sure.
Thank you for listening. As always, we drop these pods, as we are right now doing, live on youtube.com/wasitgood. We have it on TikTok and Instagram. Check us out at Was It Good Pod, and on Twitter, which is at Was It Good. Our website, wasitgood.info, has amazing blogs by the talented Krishna. Don't let him know that I said that. Be sure to check that out.
Yeah, he'll never listen to this.
I mean, I thought he was going to watch live, but he didn't, so I'm sad.
If you're watching,
Goodbye.
comment.